lam yakulahu kufuwan ahad. Kul huwa Allahu ahad Allahu samad lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Kul huwa Allahu ahad Allahu samad lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Kul huwa Allahu ahad Allahu samad lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Now we'll do the opening, the traditional opening, which we used when we were first starting out with Islam here in the West. Surely I turn myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright, to thee, the originator of the heavens. Astaghfirullah. Surely I turn myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright, to thee, the originator of the heavens and the earth. And I am not of the polytheists. For surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. No associate has he, and this am I commanded, and I am of the submitting ones. O Allah, thou art the king, there is no source but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me to the best of morals, for none so guides to the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals but thee. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, here in the wilderness of North America and beyond, as thou did make Ibrahim and the true followers of Ibrahim successful. For surely thou art ever praised and magnified in our midst. And O Allah, send barakas upon Muhammad and upon the true followers of Muhammad here in the wilderness of North America, as thou did send barakas upon Ibrahim and the true followers of Ibrahim, for surely thou art ever praised and ever magnified in our midst forever. Ameen. With that opening, we're going to bring forward Sheikh Wali, who doesn't need much introduction at this phase of the game. We're well familiar with him, and we know his immense ability to serve in the capacity of physician of the spirit, physician of the body, and physician of the heart. He is well capable, well studied, and well traveled, particularly in the disciplines of zikrs, qasids, and healing modalities to make us well and have us feeling good as Allah always should. So without any more delay, we bring forward Sheikh Farad.
Assalamu alaikum, beloved family and sheikhs. Thank you for a wonderful opening, beloved Sheikh Idris. I got chills every time you do the morning prayer and because this is the way that we opened at the mosque. And once again, I say a lot of people don't really know the prayer life and practices of the nation. But these particular two prayers were given to us by Insan Kamil Master Farad Muhammad, the prayer of Ibrahim, and the opening was called the morning prayer, was the prayer of Ibrahim, and the root of Ibrahim, both of the salawat from Ibrahim, both of these were given to us to do in our opening prayer, the opening of the service. So I thank you for that, and thank you for a wonderful introduction. My apology for springing that on you at the last minute, but I had studied the video last week, and I just enjoyed your delivery and your spirit of presentation so well that it just seemed like the perfect combination. So thank you for being the kind of soldier that at any notice is always ready to take charge of his post and walk it in a perfect manner. So thank you once again, beloved Sheikh Idris. Thank you, beloved admin, Sheikh Mustafa, for always being the perfect backup and having everything set for us to just go and move forward. You want to say something else, beloved Sheikh? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought Sheikh Idris was saying something. So,
Oh, pardon me, Sheikh. I just want to say thank you.
alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's I think, you know, a lot of times we doing these practices. The same thing happened to me last week with Surah Al Falah that was blanked. So, you know, when we doing this stuff so much, man, it's just like it begins to take over our brain, and that's the point. That's the whole point. So that's a good reason for a blank to be drawn. Alhamdulillah. So I'll start off in the name of Allah, the originator of all life, the sender of all prophets, the source and revealer of all truth, the self-created one who called himself, when we say himself, in physical form out of darkness, in the creation of the universe. We thank him for all of the manifestations that came forth from that wonderful act, the first being this physical body that we are using now, the second self creation, so the male and the female. And of course, we know the first second self was the light of Nur Muhammad, which was created, and everything else was created from it. We thank him for all of the prophets that were sent into the world as we begin to decline somewhat in the knowledge of self, and to make sure in his beneficence that we didn't fall completely off track. He sent prophets and messengers and sages and wise men and reformers, mujaddids, and so forth into the world to uplift fallen humanity. And also in manifestation of the attribute El-Hafiz, the preserver of the knowledge. He gave us masters in each prophet's community who studied the esoteric power and the secret knowledge that is hidden inside of the power that each prophet brought in the ancient tongues and in the ancient scriptures. And they gave these practices and mathematical science that was preserved so that we would be able to receive it today. Of course, that came from many walis and katubs. We thank Allah for all of these prophets, messengers, walis, katubs. I will be remiss as a knower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to not mention the Insan Kamil that visited North America, revealing himself, making himself publicly known in 1930 using the name W.F. Muhammad or W.D. Farad first. Before that, we know him today as Master Farad Muhammad, the teacher of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who he believed to be an Insan Kamil, who he referred to as Supreme Being in person, the perfect manifestation of the 99 attributes of Allah. We thank him for coming and raising the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who set us on a course that I believe he knew would lead to the hands crossing across the globe, which is the Fordania logo today. Well, what hands are we talking about? We're talking about the hands that started here in America, with us being given the knowledge, what our beloved Sheikh Sufi Ba called the Asiatic Covenant, coming from Master Farad Muhammad, coming from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, coming from the great Noble Drew Ali, and then crossing hands to tie to our Master Sheikh, Kadima Rasul, Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba. And from these hands crossing has produced the ones among us today that are now presenting the knowledge in present time. And the main one who gave his life, not gave his life like he lost it, but spent his life going to get this science so that he can bring it back to us in the wilderness of North America. I'm speaking of our beloved Sheikh Sufi Ba, in their most holy and righteous names. And in your holy and righteous name, I greet you all in the greeting words of peace and paradise in our original tongue, in the language of Allah. Assalamu alaikum. Pardon my long introduction, but I'm always humbled and overjoyed to think of the tremendous journey that we have taken on the way to this path of Islam, Ihsan, and Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. And to have it today where we have such powerful practices like the one that we're going to talk about in the Qasida Kun Kaatiman is something to be overjoyed about. The Holy Allah says in the Holy Quran in Surah Ar-Rahman, Surah 55, which of the bounties of your Lord will you deny? Every time you do a practice given to us by our illustrious Cheikh Sufi Ba, every time you read a Qasida from Qadima Rasul Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba, you're left with the feeling of bounty. You're left with that feeling inside to say, which of the bounties of your Lord will you deny? And so I'm grateful and utterly humbled to serve before you as a Sheikh in our order. And it's always a privilege to speak to Allah in the person of his people. So, we are all back from last week. We're back to talk about the Kun Kaatiman. And I gave a challenge on last week's call to open this verse 5. And in opening verse 5, the challenge was to see how it would affect our discipline. Because it is my thesis, as I stated in the last class, that Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba put all of the perfect ingredients for the mastery of Shariat, for the discipline that upholds Iman and Ihsan in this particular Qasida Kun Kaatiman. Because it's very, very instructional, and it mentions things that govern our behavior, our morality. And then he just so happens to mention a point about hunger, which refers to diet. So since diet in terms of mastering the nafs is something that we really wrestle with here in the West, I wanted to see the effect of this particular verse on that particular issue or that particular thing that we're warring with. So has anyone, you could show by raise a hand or you can speak into the mic, has anyone supped with this verse over the last week at all? Even if you didn't do the 55 times per day, did anyone get to at least play the verse from Kun Kaatiman? I was just playing it as you all were waiting to come in, and it has such a beautiful rhythm to the sound of it. Somebody should definitely make a track out of that. But if, beloved admin, if you could put the verse on the screen for a moment so that we can teach from it, just we can recite it just a few times. Thank you. So as you can see here in verse 5, there is a very, very strict point mentioned about the fear of hunger. And I've spent now this will be the third call. In the first class, we went over the entire Qasida, okay? Because we wanted to drink from every verse that's in it. And I should say, our beloved Sheikh Sufi Ba asked me to do dietary spirituality tied to this. So I'm going to focus on verse 5 for the majority of our talk. And so as we know, when we apply the abjad, which is the numerical value of a attribute of a formula, each Arabic letter has a numeric value. So this is how formulas are produced in terms of when you're given a practice. So our beloved Sheikh Sufi Ba teaches us that the number 55 is the abjad for the attribute al-mujib, which means the responsive, or he who responds. So when you apply the number 55 to any verse, and you've heard our beloved Cheikh teach this, then it opens that verse. It is in essence telling that verse, respond to me. So I posed the challenge on the last class that we're going to apply that number 55 to verse 5 and open it up. And so my hope was that once we got back together, that we would talk about what we partook from this particular verse. Al ilmu la yukta liman yaksha tawan. Because science is never granted to anyone who fears hunger. So Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba is opening the door, letting you know, if you fear hunger, don't even think about it. As the Italians would say, forget about it, right? On the East Coast. If you fear hunger and you are trying to become a man of knowing, a man of the unseen, a man of science, a man of knowledge, a man or woman of knowledge and science, but you fear hunger, understand that it will never be granted to you, right? But it also says, for those who don't fear hunger in verse 6, Bel Rubana Habdan Saburan Yulhimu. Know that God raises his servant who demonstrated patience. So if you can be patient with your appetite enough to apply a little discipline and overcome it, know that God raises the servant who does this. So these two verses, but in particular, verse 5 is going to be the focal point of the talk. Did anybody get to study the last two classes at all that our beloved admin Sheikh Mustafa posted into the chat? Okay, because I was going to ask if there's any questions or anything in relation to anything in relation to that particular verse. I noticed Sheikh Mustafa, Sheikh Gaye has been chiming into the chat quite a bit with us. And he put something in there in the portal that caught my attention. He defined kun Kaatiman for us. He translated it as be reticent, be uncommunicative, bottle up, meaning basically keep your mouth closed, be concealed, right? And in verse 1 of this particular Qasida, Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba opens the Qasida up talking about concealing yourself, not being so boisterous. The point is to be effective by means of your vibrational transmission of the power that's in these practices, not necessarily by saying it. So he's, and then in the first maybe 2 or 3 verses, he goes into why, because he says you'll cause unnecessary trials for yourself if you don't remain concealed. So this is why I say this is the perfect Qasida to help you master the discipline. I tell you, this Qasida reminds me of something in the Nation of Islam that we call the restrictive law. The restrictive law, we would say, is our success at any time. The restrictive law is 26 laws that are upheld, and it's the guiding principles of every member of the Nation of Islam. And in this Qasida is the perfect ingredients for discipline, for restriction, for upholding the characteristics and traits that will make perfect adab for someone that is on the path to becoming a knower, to get to Ihsan and to have the foundation under you from Sharia. I would say it would be a must to master this Qasida, because he puts it right in here. The things to avoid, the things to embrace, the attitude to have, the things that you need to understand going in. And the beautiful thing about the Qasida, if I had to pick a thesis to open my talk tonight, this is what it would be. There's a Prophet Dawood in the Psalms. It escapes me at the moment which Psalms this is, but it says the prayer of a righteous man. I believe this is in Psalms. So my apology if this is incorrect. I believe this is Psalms. I know it's an Old Testament verse, but I believe it's in Psalms. And it says, the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. The prayer of a righteous man availeth much. I know the Googlers are going to go see if what I said is true. If you do, please let me know. Because we know that we like to be, that no mistakes are not allowed among the laborers. So we like to be right and exact if we can be. So the prayer of a righteous man. Now, this verse or statement has layers in it. I want to use it tonight to speak on the power of any Qasida of Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba, but in particularly this Qasida. But I want to kind of lay the foundation to why we should even value it so much. The prayer of a righteous man availeth much. The first layer is, it didn't just say prayer availeth much. There's a lot of people that walk around talking about prayer, have no idea what the hell they're talking about. And I say it like that because a lot of times they're full of hell talking about prayers. Yeah, I pray for you. You know, most of the time it's spoken out of a position of weakness. It's not even spoken as if prayer is something real. I've had it said to me, well, you just pray, you know, as if that's not doing anything, right? So the prayer of a righteous man availeth much, meaning the righteous person has something to do with the prayer being powerful. But in this context, the prayer itself of a righteous man availeth much. In the last week talk, I talked about what happens when a saint reaches a particular maqam or station. And in that maqam, they have a particular effect on the universe in the way of molding and leaving imprints, almost like neural pathways in the universe that now are embedded in the very words that they say. Okay, I'll say it again. When a saint reaches a maqam, a certain station, maqam is station, they have, because of their relationship with Allah in that station, they're granted a particular effect over the universe, over creation, and it manifests as imprints in the universe, almost like neural pathways in the brain. So this is the reason why when you go to a sheikh, and really you're going to see this in every spiritual tradition in the world, indigenous at least, this is the case. If you go to, let's just step out of Islam for a minute, because sometimes it's better. I like to use sometimes non-Islamic examples because you could find the same principles and then it holds more weight once we show it in Islam, because it shows that if it worked in somebody else's system, imagine how much more it would work because we're actually using the words of Allah and his language and so forth. So like when you go to, say, a high priest from any spiritual tradition, a Babalawo, say, for example, from the Yoruba culture, or another shaman from another culture, right? And you have an issue, he's going to say, okay, you're going to do this particular thing, you're going to say this particular incantation, or maybe he'll say the incantation, but you notice he always has something specific for that. Well, that's because one time I asked a Babalawo about this. I said, what makes you know which particular prayer or specific set of things to do in any situation? He said, because the high priest leaves imprints. in the universe. That imprint is cause and effect that says, okay, when they did this, it worked. So now that thing works every time. So this is why when we use the verse of Yunus, it caused Yunus to be removed from the well. So now that leaves an imprint in the universe that says, now anytime you're swallowed up in a situation, it could be a real well or it could be a situation, that verse is going to work. Yunus, peace be upon him, long gone, right, physically among us, but the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So the prayer itself has the power that Yunus left in it because of the station that he reached. So now the words are their own existence, living. Now all you have to do is pick it up and say it, and it will have the same effect. And particularly if you're pure. Why did I just say that? Particularly if you're pure, because when these words that we're using are of Allah, and these words are pure light. And it's almost like what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about fire. Fire has a purifying effect. It changes and transforms and
Bismillah, Bismillah, Salam. Mic check, Dr. Astaghfirullah. Inshallah, I will give him a minute to return. She may have got a call or service lost. Battery, inshallah. Yeah, he may be back. Astaghfirullah.
pardon me, family. I guess we got more Mercury retrograde stuff going. My apology. It dropped off and came right back. What was the last thing anyone heard me say? My apology. Can everybody still hear me clearly?
Bismillah. You are back.
Okay.
Did anybody catch the last Astaghfirullah? It went a little.
You were basically saying you were talking about the Prophet Yunus and that how his words are already
the imprints, I mean, Astaghfirullah.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
So
Okay. So when you say these prayers, the prayers are living. They exist. They are living beings. This is why you've heard our beloved Sheikh Sufi Ba talk about this as well. That the Qasides are to be respected. Put scented oil on them and treat them like living beings because they are. But the reason, here's the reason. I'm saying, what is the reason why are they living beings? Because the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. Once a righteous man reaches, or a saint reaches that station, now his words carry power with the universe. And the power lingers on to the next user. So a person can just pick up the prayer, and now the prayer availeth much because it was the prayer of a righteous man. So this is why the prayer of Yunus works. This is why the Qasidas work. These words are light. I don't know if you all heard me say this part. The words are light. And it's kind of like what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about fire, that fire has a purifying effect. It either transforms or sometimes completely destroys whatever it comes into contact with. Well, that transformation or destruction would depend on you in terms of your purity, but this then becomes the value of a zikr like astaghfirullah, and a qasida like astaghfirullah bihi. As we heard our beloved Cheikh say, use astaghfirullah bihi a lot before your practices so that the words won't go in and now start attacking and disciplining you. Instead, now so it's almost like, I remember the Cheikh that I studied with before I met Cheikh Sufi Ba would always say, do at least 10,000 astaghfirullah so you could clear your way to the throne. So it's like, he kind of described it like that, like your sins kind of keep you away from the throne. So you're about to approach the throne. When you approach the throne, the first thing Allah is going to do is address your sins. So don't have any. Clear your way before you get to the throne. Astaghfirullah bihi, he does that 7 times. If 10,000 is like a number like that, then it was really more than that, because 1947 is the abjad for astaghfirullah. But just imagine 70,000 astaghfirullahs. So you go into the throne every time with a clear slate. So back to my original point, the reason Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba reached the maqam, he wrote astaghfirullah bihi, for example. That qasida now is imprinted into the universe. So whoever picks it up 1,000 years from now, they're going to benefit from the prayer that availeth much because it was from a righteous man. Does that make sense, family, what I'm saying?
Yes, Sheikh.
So this really, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Islam has the perfect prayer service. There's no service religiously that's more perfect than the prayer in Islam. And the reason why is because we have the benefit of letting Allah choose our words to say, right? We have the benefit of letting saints who have been anointed and appointed by Allah to choose the words that we say. So this is giving us prayers that never fail. This is why Elijah Muhammad say, try the prayer of the Muslim. It works. Why does it work? Because these are prayers of a righteous man or woman that availeth much. It's unlike other religions, you just go up to God and just start talking. That's shooting at it's like playing a crap game. You're playing the law of probability, praying like that. But when you take this prayer, it's going to be answered, because why? It was given by somebody that had reached the maqam where it left an imprint in the universe. Now, all you got to do is pick up that same prayer, and it's going to do what it did the first time it was stated and written. And many times the saint went through a particular thing so that they could write it so it will work for the next user. So now back to Kun Kaatiman. Kun Kaatiman is this kind of qasida that Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba gave us to help us with Islam. We know there's 3 levels to realization in Islam. Islam is the first. Islam starts the journey of submission. I heard somebody say one time, Islam, he said the real commitment is not, the commitment is committing to the journey. You're committing to submitting to entirely submitting to the will of Allah. That's a journey that's ongoing, but you're committing to the commitment. You're saying, I'm going to commit to entirely submitting to Allah. Well, with a qasida like Kun Kaatiman, he made it easy for us. And I wanted you all to see if that was the case, like scientists tested and use verse 5 to see if it affected your discipline. When we were getting on the call, Sheikh Mustafa, you was saying something about the verse. Had you done anything in practice of the verse?
Bismillah, astaghfirullah, uzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim.
Yes.
Astaghfirullah, Sheikh Far, first, everything you're saying right now got me jumping out my car seat. All praises. Because today, since you gave us this verse last week, astaghfirullah, I've been a little back and forth, been running around, so I haven't got to spend as much time, but the intentions were there. All praises, inshallah. So today, inshallah, in the portal, we were able to figure out that we could loop it from that app.
Yes,
So,
yes.
inshallah, if anybody has that Qasidas app, that you can pick verses and that you want to loop and just listen to 1, 2, 3 verses back and forth. So that's one.
Absolutely.
So I was in a
Yes.
bit of a rush today, inshallah, and everything. Just as you were saying, as far as with the stock for lobby heat. Now we love the stock for lobby heat. All praise. That's one of our dailies, inshallah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it like these prayers. Stock for that's so much I want to say. I don't want to take so much time, Sheikh.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sheikh.
Well, Monday we spoke about patience, the definition of patience as well too that you
Yes.
gave. All praises.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm leaving. I rushed out the house today. I get in the car and I said, okay. After we sent that, I finally got a chance to sit with it. I said, okay, I'm gonna sit with this verse 5. We memorized it for a second, and then we started zikring as we got on the road. Inshallah. Shit, maybe not even 30 minutes later, I got a flat tire. Right.
Oh snap! You got tested.
This all happens today. I'll praise it. Now, I just got these new tires, Sheikh. What are used? Stuff like I got these new used tires a couple
Okay.
weeks ago. All praises,
Yes.
inshallah.
Yes.
And nevertheless, yes, as soon as we start zikring about hunger and patience, no sooner I get a flat tire. All praises. So, nevertheless, we were able to get it fixed. I shot my pops out. Got to shot pops out because he hadn't had to help me change a flat tire in probably 20 years. All praises. So, alhamdulillah for that today. That went by. But as you were talking today, he was talking about the patience and being sealed. Inshallah, and Sheikh Guy making the definition of Sakfullah, putting in the definition for us of being reticent, uncommunicative, being sealed. Inshallah. Eat less, sleep less, talk less. All of those things require our mouths to be closed.
Teach, Sheikh. Yes.
Astaghfirullah. For those, it just came to me. All praises by the grace of Allah. As you were speaking on it, and you mentioned Sheikh God, and field again.
Yes.
Where we're looking at fearing hunger, we have to keep our mouth closed. Going through Ramadan, they say even speaking, we talk less because speaking uses up energy. And like you said, we can say something that could divert, the destiny of the day, inshallah. And being patient, as we were talking on Monday, one of the somebody mentioned being patient and not so that we don't make wrong decisions and make hasty decisions, inshallah. So a lot came just by doing this verse today 55 times. Like you said, definitely it'll put you to the test. Astaghfirullah. I just felt compelled to share that because you called me out just now. But I'm literally sitting in my seat bubbling right now because these prayers are definitely alive. And I know how much you love to pray, Sheikh Fard. All praise. You got a lot of prayers yourself. So I know everybody can speak to the effect of learning new prayers.
Man.
I haven't learned a new prayer in a while. All praises. It's a lot of prayers to learn. We got a lot of practices that we're practicing from the Sheikh. All praises. But yeah, inshallah, Jeff Sheikh Fard. I'll give you back the microphone. Stuff.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for that. And once again, family, the reason that we did this like this is because I wanted today to be an open forum. The first 2 classes you gave me, y'all let me do all the talking. And because, oh man, last week, goodness, maybe that was my test because I was closing the call out and was getting a message, Sheikh, you can't hear us. And then I tried to get back in and it was like nothing would let me get back in. I couldn't even listen to the rest of the class. I felt so embarrassed. So I said, well, next week then we'll let you all do more talking. And now I'm gonna tell you what you just made me think of, Sheikh Mustafa. As beloved Sheikh was saying, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was saying, don't pray for patience. So I may have did us, as much as this was a lesson, I may have did us a disservice because he say somebody had asked him about patience and he said something like pray for welfare, pray for prosperity. And the reason being because the minute that you ask for patience, trials are coming. How else are you going to know that if the definition of patience is to endure, then you have to endure something. So that means something has to happen to you for you to say that you endured it. So
but we have to exercise that patience as well too with the child.
Absolutely. That's
If we
right.
don't, it's so
Absolutely.
such, like you said, the infinite patience of Allah. This is definitely a name, Yah Sabur, that we've had to spend time with. Like Sheikh says, this is a
Yes.
marathon, not a race. It just no matter
Mhm.
what, first year, 5 years, Sheikh
Mhm.
20, like it's so much always the ocean to
Mhm.
travel to find new things. Operate, but patience definitely is one to meditate with. Astaghfirullah.
So I mean that just bears witness. You're right. Soon as you said that, it activated. Now think about this. Think about this, Sheikh and family. Sheikhs and family. Think about this. We just talking about the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. The prayer itself, the word availeth is the root of available. So it's saying what's available in the prayer of a righteous man is much. That's the simple way without the King's English on it. What's available in the prayer of a righteous man is much. Okay, think about what Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba said in order to activate or to benefit from his words. He said you could do three things. You could say it. I don't know how they played it before modern times, but he said you could play it. Ashe told us we could play it, right? That's why it's in the Qasida. Or you could spray oil on it. So basically spray it with oil, say it or play it, and then read it. I think reading it too. Astaghfirullah if I'm wrong, but I believe reading it because I've heard Sheikh say read, Sindidi, which read could also mean recite, but I'm sure just laying your eyes on it because the ancient, like in the Kabbalah teachings, when you just look at the Aramaic, it transforms the DNA. So if that's the case with Aramaic, we know it's the case with Arabic. When you just look at it, there's particular size, when you just look at them, everything changes. So this is why. So just from him playing, Sheikh Mustafa didn't say he started saying the verse, he just played it. And still, just from did you just say?
We recited it. We
Oh, you
got
recited it.
55,
Okay,
and I
okay,
was working on memorizing it. We got
okay. Alhamdulillah.
and it didn't take long, like I said, at all.
So you probably didn't even get to the
But
55.
my point was, I didn't recite the Astaghfirullah Bihi before I started this particular zikr.
Ah,
Now we do Astaghfirullahs every morning on WKFK, all praises, but I didn't do a separate one just before starting this particular zikr, inshallah.
oh man,
So that
that
it makes so much difference how important astaghfirullah is, and our Sheikh says
woo,
never get comfortable in your practices and in whatever station you may be on.
oh
And never
man.
get comfortable on the path. Or pray astaghfirullah, Sheikh.
Say you just made me sit in the audience again. That part went completely past me, even though I just said it. In your example, it just went completely past me that's what you were saying. That because you didn't think of this, family, everything is a teachable moment. The Sufi is the master, the son of the moment. So because now, what would have been interesting is to see if you did do Astaghfirullah Bihi first and then did it, what would have happened? It probably still could have been a trial, something could have happened, but maybe your pace, maybe your dealing with it would have been different. Or maybe it wouldn't have even happened at all. Who knows? But man, that's so powerful, family. Like the prayer of a righteous man. So understand what tools we have and the beneficence of a sheikh, of a wali. And in another Qasida, Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba said that Allah gave him the secrets of all of the Kutubs. So this is why in the Fordania logo, the hands crossing across the globe is to Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. Another Sheikh that I was conversing with from the Tajani order challenged me, and he said, well, why just Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba? Because there was other contemporaries that were saying a lot of the same things. Yeah, but they didn't have all of the masters and secrets of the Kutubs. All of the Kutubs didn't visit them and say, here's my secrets, hold them. Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba is the only man that can say that and reach the level of Kadima Rasul. So if we study him, we automatically get what everybody else has because he has everybody else's stuff. This is the major cheat sheet shortcut. Now, of course, we know Every formula from every wali works. Sheikh Sufi Ba, the man of many words, teaches us that. But he said the Qasidas alone could get you to realization. Why? Because Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba, when he reached that station of Maqam, the station of Kadima Rasul, that the power that he left, the imprints that he left. So now we got a Qasida that does everything, every little thing. And it's not something that makes you want to cry sometimes when you think about, I know people that have gone through stuff, and I know people that pray, people that are sincere religious people that say, I'm going to have no clue. They have no clue that if they just had the words of a saint that was already programmed for that kind of event, they would be guaranteed victory. Think of the advantage that we have, family. Murid Sadiq, think of the advantage that we have over the population because of these qasidas and practices from Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba and from our Sheikh Sufi Ba. We have a guaranteed way to not ever get arrested, a guaranteed way to not ever get tested, a guaranteed way to not ever get shot. It's something we can do for just about everything. And the thing is, are we willing to do it? And in a qasida like Kun Kaatiman, now hold up, Sheikh Wally, you went too far. You just said, that it's guaranteed ways to not, somebody might say, oh, that was far-fetched. I don't think it was far-fetched because Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba demonstrated it in his own life and with his disciples. And more importantly than being his disciples, we don't have to be as perfect as him because guess why? He left it all in the qasides. So all you got to do is just find out which qasid does what and then use it. He's in there. It's like having him in your pocket with you. Whew. If we just think about that sometimes. When you say, I'm going to pray on something, I remember, let me give you an example, family. There's a verse that I used one time, because Sheikh Sufi calls me the mad scientist, right? He pictures me with like hair looking like Albert Einstein, strung all out, hanging all out, and my eyes big going, he pictures me like that, right? And that's me when I get ideas. So studying a particular qasida, and I saw where Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba said something that you use, a verse that you use. You use the verse before you enter into gatherings. Okay. So I have the verse, I keep it on me because I'm a public speaker. I'm always going into gatherings. But this verse will guarantee a successful speaking at a gathering. People are guaranteed to love you if you go in that gathering. And you say this before you go in. I went into a place. I remembered that I didn't say it, walked back out of the place, said it, and then went back in the place. It was a meeting of these priests. They were all sitting at a table. It was about 12 of them. They looked up to me. They all started smiling and waving and asked me to come over, introduce myself, and asked me would I sit with them. They were talking about praying without ceasing. Think about this, family. Praying without ceasing. Who does that better than Sufis? They were just talking about it intellectually, but had no application or no even chance of applying what they were talking about. But of course, by Allah's grace and through the teachings of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba, Sheikh Wali did have something. I ended up walking away with a bag full of books and literature. That gave me an amulet to wear and invited me to come to their congregation. And, these were, I was the only Asiatic in the meeting. And I couldn't imagine probably no other Asiatic had gotten treated that way by these group of men. And it was purely the power of the formula. I know it was. So I'm saying that to say, going back to my thesis, the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. We don't have to put the cart before the horse. If we're struggling with dietary appetite issues, we can use a verse like this. We can use, if we're struggling with our 5 prayers, if we're struggling with our weird, if we're struggling with lusts, if we're struggling with other things, we can use the power that's in Kaatiman. All we got to do is play it. Let's just say you ain't even got time to say it. Just play it and think about this. Insan Kamil Masfara Muhammad gave us the speed of sound. He said the speed of sound is 1,120 feet per second. So that means if you took the Qasida and played it and put it on volume number 2, you don't even have to hear it. It's playing. It's affecting you in the background because it's the prayer of a righteous man. So it's and the on the Qasida apps, aren't the people that's singing the Qasidas mostly sheikhs? Has that been y'all experience? When you look at the top and it's saying who's singing the Qasida, doesn't it say serene such and so? So now you got a double power. You got the Qasida of Sheikh Aqua Dubamba, and you got a Wali that's singing it. All you got to do is play it. It's like he made it too easy for us. So this is why Allah says in the Holy Quran, if it was not for your prayers, I would not love you, because he has been so beneficent in setting traps for himself. That's the ancient definition of the word prayer, to set a trap for God. That's what it means in Aramaic. When you say prayer, you're saying to set a trap for God, meaning you're trapping him in his integrity that he has to answer you. But it's not really trapping him, because God gives us the trap. Allah gives us the way to trap him. Say this, do this. If you want to guarantee an answer, use a salawat. I always answer those. Say a salawat, then say the dua, then say another salawat. I always answer that. Pray at the mazar, a tomb of a saint. I always answer that. He gives us so many different ways for him to say yes, more than ways for him to say no. And for us to still not do it, then yeah, we don't deserve love at that point. Because he's like, I'm trying to give you all of this. The least you can do is just do it. And I'm saying that the power, not just of the prayers, but I believe the power of mastering our disciplines is in a Qasida like this one. Any questions so far? Is this making sense what I'm saying, family? At all? Or just look at it. That's right. Think over that. Just look at it. Have you ever been around our beloved Cheikh? You know, he's always zikring, but sometimes he's just looking at a Qasida. He might be doing a weird and looking at a Qasida at the same time. Yes, absolutely. Beloved Corey Salam, I was just thinking about you when I was talking about that. When I was talking about the different benefits of Qasidas. And yes, Astaghfirullah Bihi also heals financial hardship. And the reason it does is because it clears the slate on your sins. And beloved Sheikh Sufi Ba says that the sins many times is what keeps risk or provision or money away from us. Thank you, Sheikh Sally. Always a compliment coming from you. All right, family. So I didn't even want this talk as structured. I want us to sup on this verse. Did anybody at least get to play it? So I know we all probably had a busy week. It's understandable. So this week, just do your best to try to play it. And let's take from the lessons of history and learn what Sheikh Mustafa just taught us. Always do Astaghfirullah or Astaghfirullah Bihi first. Astaghfirullah Bihi is a perfect shortcut. And I'm going to give y'all a little secret. Video, they're going to benefit in major ways. Supposed to be talking about Kaatiman. But guess what? We are talking about it because the Qasidas are holographic. Anybody know what holographic means? Have you ever heard Sheikh Sufi say that if you could just get one of the attributes to open up, then all of them open up? Because all of it is interconnected. The attributes or aspect of the one name is really only one name. That's Allah, right? La ilaha illallah. The reason that Allah is the only reality, because that's the only name. But all of these formulas and names and different things are pieces of the one name. So if you can get a piece to open, the whole is in the piece. And then, of course, the piece is part of the whole. So that's the same thing with the Qasidas. I believe this may be the wisdom and why our beloved Sheikh gives us so many short Qasidas in our words so that we can memorize at least one and get it to open up, instead of having us to focus on the larger ones. Now, we know that the power of the Qasida is not in the magnitude of its wording. All of them are powerful, even the ones that are just 2 verses, 3, 4 verses. But I'm saying if we could just focus, and I just really want to paint value, more so than just talking about, because the next class I'm going to go into the history of the Qasida. I'm going to go into what was happening when Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba wrote it, because all of that plays a role. Whatever was going on around him when he wrote the Qasida, that sets the stage for you to use it. Just like Yunus, the example that I gave of Yunus, just like Prophet Ibrahim, when he put the fire out, that verse that he used, him being put in the fire, the intention, and could you imagine being in a fire pit and praying? How intense your prayer would be if somebody just put you in somewhere and just lit it on fire. Could you imagine the seriousness of your prayer? Right? You pray when you're going through something, but imagine being in a fire, like in a pit, not like in somewhere where you can get out. You're stuck and it's on fire. So that very energy, that very niyyah, that intention is in the verse itself from now on. Which is why a sheikh can tell you, use this verse and it'll put out fires in your life. Because the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. There's much available in the prayer of a righteous man, especially if that righteous man is Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. Especially if it's him. Talking about Kun Kaatiman, but what we got to do for that to help it, to help activate the power even more. Well, beloved Sheikh Mustafa, can you flash real quick through each of the verse? I don't want to focus on each verse for long, but could you flash it up like each one? Do you have availability to it?
I do. 1 second, Sheikh.
Okay. I'm going to show you just how powerful the foundational building blocks for this Qasida is in terms of what it means to our discipline. Let me see, you made me the co-admin, so I might be able to pull it myself. Let me see if I can do it. Okay.
It's out of order. I can't call on stuff for long.
All right, cool. There we go.
This is the first one, for first 2.
Yeah, just go. So we just gonna run real quick, run through each one. The first, starting from verse 1 and go to the second. Or better yet, just do this. Because they don't have to necessarily be in order. I just wanted to use the contents of the Qasida. So whatever you pull up, I'll talk about that. So we do it like hip hop, do it like a freestyle, just pull it up. I'm gonna prove my point even with that. So what do we have to do? Okay, there we go. Thank you. Always try to hide. Kun Kaatiman liduri wal busa tanali. Always try to hide you. Meaning always be concealing yourself, you who are in search of knowledge. So you will spare you the trials and sentences. Hide yourself. Be hidden. Be reticent. Be bottled up. Be uncommunicated. Eat less, talk less, sleep less. But in this instance, it's talking about the talk less, which Sheikh Mustafa made an excellent point. If you do those others, talking less will be easier. It's so funny because now, in all of my weird practices of the weirds, I was about to say weird practices, which I'm pretty sure is weird to the world, but all of the practices of weirds, I don't even have enough room to talk no more a lot of times. And I thought about that one day. I was like, man, because I got a particular amount of things that I want to accomplish throughout the day. And sometimes, family, you all know with the way that I eat, the days that I don't eat, it's very easy to get lost. And I'll look up and a whole day has gone by. I'll start at midnight. By Fajr prayer, I've done so many weirds. By Zohar, I've done so many more. And I look up, it's 11 o'clock and it's time to go back in. So I was thinking about this. I was like, man, because I got, all of the stuff that I was given. I'm like, in order to accomplish all of this, I'm not going to ever be able to talk to nobody. But then I thought, there's no punishment in that. When would you ever get punished for talking too much to Allah? Then when you finally talk to people, your words hold more weight. So what do you have to do? Okay, hide, be concealed. That's the base of that verse, the first verse. So you will spare yourself trials and sentences, right? Have determination. So be determined to be a master. In our order, being a master is the only way. And it's a must if you're a disciple of Sheikh Sufi Ba, because he said he only came to make masters, right? So no average, no C students. He might not even accept a B minus. Only A+ students with us. That's got to be the champion mentality that you have. Determine I will be one of the masters. And even if you miss, you'll still be way ahead of everybody in your generation, because most people are not trying to master nothing but being part of this world, right? Do not complain all the time of the events that overwhelm you, because now here's all praises to him. Alhamdulillah. Here's where Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba is so merciful, yet is almost sarcastic, because he says, do not complain all the time of the events that overwhelm you, but he's also saying this knowing that if you really do the practices, events won't overwhelm you. Because there's verses and weirds that you can do that can stop events from even taking place. Nothing that happened to him was overwhelming. It probably was at first. But once he started getting up into that station, this is why when you read the accounts of the French, it was driving them crazy. They had to send a Christian saint in the book, The Translateral Conspiracy, a book that got stolen from me, a very, very powerful book about Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. Is the French accounts about him. So it's a very creditable book because it's not his disciples talking about him, it's the enemy talking about him. And in the book, it was saying they had sent a Christian saint to be around him because they were trying to study his weaknesses to figure out how to get in, because nothing that they did was working. And they was trying to figure out why wasn't it working. And the Christian saint came back and said, oh, you got to get him to sin. You got to get him to sin. That's why it's not working. Nothing is going to work because he's a saint for real. Like, he's really pure. You got to get him to sin. Once you can get him to sin, then we can break him. But guess what? In the Kasai Yerahman Yerahim, he says, remove the very attraction to sin out of my heart. That was already established. I don't know when that Qasida was written in terms of when this was said And when that trial, but I'm saying this kind of stuff was already there. So if you're doing the conceit, if you're doing the practices, will you have room to complain? If you're doing Astaghfirullah bihi, if you're doing Kaatiman, if you're doing Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, if you're doing the words that we've been given, when do you have time to do that and complain? And when do you have time to notice events? There's events. Oh, yeah, events happen. Okay, dang, I was zikkering. You forget, it's like there is no event. There's only la ilaha illallah. Right? This is a supreme cheat sheet, y'all. What else you got to do? I would say the Kaatiman is like the restrictive law of Muridism. Quote Sheikh Wali with that. Quote Sheikh Farad with that. Sheikh Farad said the Kaatiman is like the restrictive law of Muridism, because he's guiding your behavior as you're growing into a wali. Right? Be brave and act so that people believe that you are lacking nothing. Well, once again, if you're focusing on zikr Allah, you're not complaining, you're hiding yourself. So the brave is just being brave enough to do the practices. That's what he's saying, be brave about, right? Because science is never granted. Yeah, you can go into verse 5. Thank you. Because science is never granted to anyone who fears hunger. We're going to go down the line. We already covered this. We already understand. So of course, us as Moorids, we got an advantage. By Allah's grace, we got Dr. Wali in the order to teach us what hunger is and what hunger is not. So any of you all that are under the leadership of Sheikh Sufi Ba and have been under the voice of Sheikh Wali, you shouldn't have this problem. Because you who want to acquire knowledge, review each and every time. Review, meaning go back. Take the parable of the bee, rechew it, and every time you reciting the Qasida. Watch this. Did you know that every time you recite the Qasida, it's different? Not the words change, but every time you say the Qasida, you change your DNA. So you're different the next time you say it. Family. Every time you say, go back one more time so I can make sure I covered that last verse. Okay, I pity the one who, okay, go to verse 9. You who are looking to know, do not look to money at the same time. Well, we already covered that. Seek ye first. He's not saying don't make money, but I'm going to say this is also him being merciful and kind of hiding. He's being humble to the fact that he gave us a cheat sheet, because every formula that Sheikh Sufi gave us, every Qasida he says makes you make money. And you just heard Brother Corey Salam drop that tremendous gold bar and then just dipped. It's not an either or with these Qasidas. Just do the Qasida. You don't have to worry about the money, because he's saying I already put that in there. But he's saying I pity you all who don't know this. So you're not going, so why does he pity? Because you're going to think that you're not covered, because you're not doing what verse 6 said when it says, and know that God raises a servant who just demonstrates patience. So you're going to be wondering, okay, I got my prayer part covered, but how am I going to eat? Reality is real. I used to hate to hear us say that everything is real. No, everything ain't real. La ilaha illallah is real. We're the only thing that's real. Everything else is illusion. So everything ain't real. It's a lie. Everything is as real as I make it, because la ilaha illallah. So if you don't know this, you'll be looking to make money at the same time. But if you understand what he said in the previous verses, you won't be looking to make money at the same time, because you will understand, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all things will be added. You will understand that the kingdom of heaven is in these verses. All you got to do is seek them. And seek comes from seker. Seker is the third spirit of tree of life in ancient Kemet. And in the third spirit of tree of life, seker, is where the words of power activate creation. So the seeker finds God in seker. They said seek, but they never said how to seek. Well, as Sufis, we know. We know how to seek. You seek by using the words of power of powerful saints. Does that make sense? Okay, you can put it back up.
I don't know how I went down, Doc. Stuff for I'm bringing it right back up.
Okay. So if you don't understand this, you'll be looking to how am I going to get paid at the same time? This is a lot of what has the world tangled up. And it's mostly because they haven't said Kuhu Allahu Ahad. They haven't said He Allah is one. So they don't understand that one is the other. They don't have a holographic view of life. They don't have a holographic view of existence to understand that when I'm doing prayers, I'm doing the most powerful thing. The zikr Allah is the greatest force. It's the greatest. Nothing is greater than it. And it just so happened that these formulas bring reality toward you. So it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. That's once you do the zikr Allah, the king is in your dome. The heaven is in the upper realms of being. And then all of these things will be added to you. In Islam, we call this what? Tawfiq. And Sheikh Sufi Ba teaches us that Tawfiq means the thing came to you without you seeking it, because the only thing that we should be seeking is God. All right. So I pity the one who are looking to know but do not look for money at the same time, because the Creator provides for the needs of one who is in search of knowledge. So if you're on this path, your needs are going to be covered. And it's already built into the Kasai to cover your needs. So go to verse 11. Thank you. Fear God and follow his religion, Islam. It's pretty simple. You don't have to fear what's going to just fear, if anything, fear what's going to happen if you don't do these practices. It's not like you're going to get punished, but that you're going to fall victim to the dunya. That's what you fear. So whoever disobeys God and the one who hurts others will never own knowledge. Well, if you're in this world, you're going to hurt others, because this whole world is based off of a dog-eat-dog mentality that is based off of lack, that is based off of thinking that this is reality. So you're going to disobey God if you're part of this dunya. It's built into like I remember Sheikh Sufi was saying, everything in America is haram. Everything. Even the most holiest thing we can find, the whole country was built off of theft and slavery. So you buy holy garments from a family that owned slaves that was picking the cotton, that they descendants are using the cottons to make holy garments. So it's the whole thing is haram. Thank God, thank Allah for astaghfirullah, and astaghfirullah be he. Okay, go to verse 13. Then get away from girls in age to be married and those who are already married. So it's basically saying don't lust. We already went through that. These are the guys. This is the restrictive law of Moordism. Approaching them leads to contempt, disobedience, and destruction. Now, ironically, it said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all of these things will be added. We know that both money and women, for men, are feminine. The money and women are both feminine realities. Money, in like in ancient India, they call money Lakshmi, but there's a goddess called Lakshmi. The word material, mater, M-A-T-E-R, is Latin for mother. So all of these things will be added. If you purify yourself with the power of these casitas, money, and you'll end up with mate, but it'll be a pure woman that will end up being in your presence. So it won't lead you to destruction. Okay. So that's what he says in verse 14. And 15, do not sacrifice the hereafter for this world. Right? So it is clear that whoever exchanges light into darkness will regret it. You'll gain, but you'll regret it in the end. Because you're going to get to the end and realize, damn, la ilaha illallah. Not damn, but la ilaha illallah. This world was the damn part. So don't sacrifice that for that. Okay. Any questions? So these are the guiding principles. This Qasida was written, I think, to me, if I had to pick an order of how Qasida should be learned, it would be Astaghfirullah bihi then Kun Kaatiman right afterwards. Because Astaghfirullah bihi is going to clear the heart and going to open up the premise for purification and for you to seek the inner sciences and secrets of the heart. And then Kun Kaatiman is going to be the law, like the Shariat, guiding your behavior and making you have pure adab. Both of these will lead to Insan Kamil, because you can't be Insan Kamil without perfect adab. Your Sufism is only as good as your adab, and Kun Kaatiman is the embodiment of adab. Does that make sense? Where's the dietary spirituality? Cheikh, you didn't talk much about food this time. Yeah, well, it's on and off because I've spent a lot of time with you all talking about food. You all know my premise on food. I think that the verse 5 is the root of this Qasida, as far as I'm concerned, because when you stop eating, you automatically stop these other things automatically stop. I can't necessarily say if you stop talking, you'll stop eating. You'll stop sleeping. You'll stop, these don't automatically stop. But if you stop eating, you do not sleep as much. And if you're zikring, that's why I added pray more. If you're zikring, you will talk less. Because it's not the talk that's bad, it's you talking to people and mostly talking about nothing. Slack talk, we call it in the Nation of Islam, which you would get time out for slack talk. Not just gossip, but slack talk, just sitting around talking about nothing. Well, if you're talking about La ilaha illallah, that's talking about the greatest force. So to talk less is talk more about that. And if you eat less, you will talk more about that, because you're going to be more prompted to do more zikrs. Think about it. As Sufis, the first thing you start thinking if you fast, man, I'm going to get all these practices in. So really that verse 5, the gods 5% say 5 is power refinement. Once verse 5 has the key to power refinement. You can refine your power in verse 5 of this Qasida by understanding what hunger is and then mastering the appetite. And from the appetite, all of the other nafs fall into place. Once all of the other nafs fall into place, then the rest of the Qasida will guide your behavior onto perfect adab. So I think that's about it. I went way longer than I wanted. My apology, family. It looked like you all enjoyed what was being said. Alhamdulillah. Brother Corey coming, dropping all of them finance. You notice in the chat, he kept dropping. It just kept dropping gold mines. If y'all was paying good attention, though, he gave y'all a good one with that. So I don't even think Sheikh Mustafa's diversion would have diluted it if you was paying good attention. So maybe a reason to go back and study the video, unless Sheikh Mustafa go and delete it out or something. Any questions before we close out, family? Thank you for your time this evening. I pray that something that was said can help us all in our day-to-day life. It was a short call tonight, but I felt your energy. I'm here at the hospital with a relative that I'm working on. And so this call is uplifting for me, because this healing work can be cumbersome sometimes. It can be tiring, especially when you're dealing with belief systems and people that have not really accepted healing, that really have not accepted that a life can be abundant. When I come into a setting, many times I'm working through that before I even get to the person's energy field or whatever I'm treating. And so being on the call with you all tonight is a good breath of fresh air to help me in the work that I do. Thank you for that. Comments, I'll make sure that I got my volume up so I can hear you. Any comments or questions before we close?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. One going once, going twice, inshallah. If anybody had any questions or comments for Doctor, inshallah.
I'm gonna see how much anybody was paying attention to Abjad. Abjad is the numeric value of attribute or letters. Anybody know what the Abjad for 129 is? Brother Corey, don't say nothing. Anybody know the Abjad for 129?
Oh, the name of Allah?
Yes. Which name of Allah has the numerical value of 129?
Ya Latif.
Ah.
Astaghfirullah.
Alhamdulillah. All right. Well, family, if there's no more questions or comments, we're going to go ahead and close out in prayer.
Can I give a comment, Sheikh Fard?
Yes. The
Did
great
you
Sheikh,
say-
is that Sheikh Wali out of Norfolk?
Yeah, this up, brother Sheikh Salih. I just wanted to say, you say you didn't talk about food, but I just wanted to say old school scripture. We can't live by bread alone, but every word.
I mean,
Giving that spiritual. So you was giving us that light, that no Allah no. I ain't gonna type all that in. I want to comment.
I mean, thank you for that,
That
Sheikh.
brother dropped that bomb. I said, wow. You and Mustafa conversation, very enlightenment. I just want to say thanks. I enjoyed the presentation. All the Sheikh. Idris Bar carried the bar well, the Sheikh's name. I just love all y'all. Love and light. Salam alaikum.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you. We love you, Sheikh Salih. Sheikh Salih from the city of light, Norfolk. We know of some Moorish involvement in that city. Alhamdulillah. So, yeah, Sheikh Mustafa, you gotta get harder on me when you're trying to divert me, because it completely slipped past me. He was trying to take the ball back the other way. I gave the ball back to the.
There's no way that shot could have been blocked, Doctor. All praise. No way you could have blocked that shot.
And brother was just so insistent. Yeah, I'm gonna say this and then I gotta go. Yeah, drop a roll, treasure gold on the table. If y'all missed that, y'all didn't even. It ain't no excuse for y'all if y'all missed that. So,
alhamdulillah. Sheikh Sufi Bas says Islam is revealed in stages. It is not it is a marathon, not a race. All praises. Sheikh Fard, I definitely want to personally thank you for all your information, wisdom, and you've imparted on us over the years. I wish we did have verse 5 that first year. It might have made made some things go a little smoother, but definitely the process that you've given us is definitely a process to be practiced. It's a practice within itself, inshallah. And just aspiring and making the attention to work on our hunger, overcome our hunger, and learning about ourselves through hunger. Astaghfirullah is definitely a practice that, and I appreciate having you, like you say, within our Darrah to guide us through that. Definitely, all praises. Inshallah. Can we just because we didn't read it in the beginning? Can we close out with a Astaghfirullah?
Man, you all get your hand out my pocket. Bro. I was just about to say.
I ain't know.
I was just about to say, because we didn't open up with it, we got to close it out. If nothing else, to clear the slate for y'all so that y'all can jump into y'all practices tonight and get light.
I don't want no more flat tires. I don't want nobody catching no flat tire on the way home. After you just dropped all that on us, Sheikh Fard, we gotta do a stuff for Labi. Brother Habibi, I think you about to say something, beloved.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, family.
Yes,
I just wanted to comment. I just remembered this for real, but Sheikh Mustafa, man, you be posting these Zooms up on YouTube, and at my job, I work. Sheikh Wali know I work in on the West End in Atlanta at Tassili's. This vegan restaurant. That man, it's been so much drama going on there. You know, that's like it's really like a portal too, with a lot of the people that work there and people from all over the world come there. But you know, I had brought in my speaker one day. I got this big old speaker, man. I brought it in, but on my way up there, I was playing the last class we had with Sheikh Sufi. I believe it was the one where he was speaking, not the one where we did the finished up the Mother Sadiq, that the 8 principles of making the Mother Sadiq. It was the one he was talking to, so probably Sunday. But I played that on Sunday and I was finishing it up. And then I put on the first part of this when Sheikh Wali was breaking down the Kaatiman. And y'all, you know, that I'm at a restaurant where it's like, you know, we getting everybody ready for the shift that day. I'm the manager, so I'm getting all the team ready and putting their mind right. And I came in and I started playing that class with Dr. Wali talking. And man, y'all just should have seen, you know, I just want to attest that, you know, just speaking about Kun Kaatiman, speaking about Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba in the way we do brings a different vibration out of people, because so many people, you know, a lot of people came up and was like, what's this? Like, what podcast is this? And what church is this? Somebody asked me what church it was. I was like, it's not a church. I was like, this is my you know, this is my school. You know, that's what I was telling them. I said, this is my school. And you know, it was deep for them too, because you were talking about hunger and appetite, and you were breaking down that verse, you know, and man, it just brought a whole nother vibe over the room and got us started. And that was one of the best shifts I had, man. And I had read Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim before that. I read that every morning, but I knew they told me that shift was gonna be kind of crazy. So I just had a different vibe, and I was practicing like what Kun Kaatiman is saying, like, you know, be confident, go in there, you know what I mean, do your thing, and trust that like victory is assured. So I just remember that and just wanted to drop that on the whole family, that these practices we doing are real. I appreciate everybody and the contributions we make, and I'm gonna play, inshallah, I'm gonna play this one on, you know what I mean, to get everybody right. So alhamdulillah, man. Appreciate y'all.
Baby, I need a track. I need a track though with that verse loop though. That verse 5 loop. I need that on the track. Make it for me. I'll write through it.
If you want to send me whoever reciting it in the style you like, send me a couple different variations, and we gonna see what cook up.
I can't wait, but I got my pen, my red pen and notebook ready for you.
That's right. Oh, I already know. I'm here for that. I'll be here. I'll just be keeping love to the family.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I'm glad that they got the benefit, and thank you for the exposure, because you know Sheikh Wali, by Allah's grace, man, is becoming known. You know, the Sheikh Sufi put me into his world of friends, and it's like people are requesting me in Senegal. He was in a Sheikh's house, and it was like they heard me, and it was like, we need him to come over here. So you know, y'all are helping Sheikh Wali become world renowned with this. So thank you. Brother.
Yes, we work. Lord, salam alaikum, y'all.
Wa alaikum salam. Any other comments? Thank you for that again, beloved. All right, Sheikh Mustafa, I'm gonna go ahead and take us out with a Astaghfirullah Bihi. And I was gonna give y'all a secret on this, but I'm gonna save it for next time. So make sure y'all show up. Y'all show up next week for sure. I got a jewel, a shortcut practice, and I'm gonna give you with Astaghfirullah Bihi. All right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa taqabbal minni liwaj hi kalakarini kali taiban ilayka bi astaghfirullah bihi astaghfirullah lazim wa atu alayhi min zawahirin wa min ghuyub sa'utuhu bahaki wa tilahi magfiratan min jumlatil manahi tutulahu min jumlatil sagairi mehal kabairi wa min damairi gafiru likfir kulimata karama وما تاكرا وما بينهما فإمني الأمة وزدني يوما وحملا وعبدا وفما Rabbi Elixir fil Hulaman Nafiha, watch Halayati mean Shaka Imaniha, Ikshif Liao Asa Ara Wal Gamida, Ekatoman Kashafa Suran Gamida, Lichma Jami Hamatu Fara Kalada, Kaatiman al Kedi Wasa fil Kalada, the Kulada Tufaka Zamaya, Rabbi Bikum Watasiman Kalamia, Abliya Akramu Fitilawa, Kairan Kasiran Mikawa Halawa, Parikli Allahumma Fiyayati, Wajalfu Adiwatanawayati, Abliya Kani Bishra Kulimanyatu, Walizawa Ehira bin Mahalguyu. Al-Fatiha.